So I'm trying to do a live. So we're going out to Tucson.
Nice.
We're doing a live podcast. We're working on bringing musicians in. They'll play like a song or two. We'll talk about like a live podcast type situation. But I've been having a hard time selling it to venues because they just hear podcast and they think, oh, they just want to use our place for the podcast. And it's like, no, it's like a show. It's like a variety show almost.
Right. Sorry, that's nice.
Oh, you're so I had a place out in Nashville that Anna Lamare introduced me to. She knew the owner, and so he let us come in. And I didn't get a real good recording of it, so like I feel bad just kind of sending that because like the audio is really rough because I was trying to run. I paid a guy to run sound for me, but he didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, that's a spot, man.
He told me, he's like, oh yeah, I run audio all the time, and like I get the audio, it's just like, really, you know, one of them situations. So cool. All right, you need headphones? Are you good?
Probably not. I think probably good.
All right, cool. Let me grab this thing over here so I can freaking not die on the podcast because it is day 4. Sweet.
Yeah, I've heard that y'all had some pretty late nights too.
Not me necessarily. Let's go ahead and sound check, but
Cool.
yeah,
Hey.
not me necessarily.
Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. Hey, hey, hey.
Bring all that.
Hey,
down.
1,
All right,
2, 1,
we're
2.
Good. We're good. All right. Oh, make sure my phone's on sound. Sorry, I'm just like piecing it together right now.
You're good, man.
Yeah. That's Aaron's podcast, and then those are my
Nice, man.
podcasts if you want to grab one.
Appreciate that. I'm just checking them out.
Yeah. Sweet. Go away.
I'm slugging around this morning too.
Yeah, you're good. And it's Ryan Glenn, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. My brain is so shot. I literally called somebody by the wrong name, and I've known him for years. And it's just like, it's like, who the hell are you talking? Who the hell is Amanda? And I'm like, Amber, son of a bitch. Okay. And so I'm gonna have to go in and correct that one because I'll never hear the end of it if she, yeah.
That's funny.
But I was also very drunk, so precursor to that one.
Sorry, I mean.
Oh, you're good. Awesome. All right, so here we go. Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast here at In a Jam down by the river at Mountain Breeze Campground. I was about to merge the two of those things together, and that would have been a cluster F of words. But we got Ryan Glenn joining us. How's it going today, man?
Doing good, brother. How you doing today?
I'm hanging in there. It's the end of the festival. We got a couple of more shows to go, or a couple of more musicians, which you are one of them. I'm excited to see what you got because I feel like I missed you a little bit last year. Because were you playing in here, or were you down on the side stage?
We were down on the one of the big stages last year.
Okay. I didn't quite get to catch your set last year, so hopefully I'll be out there for a little bit and catch some of your stuff. So I'm excited.
That'd be great, man. I appreciate that.
So how's everything been going?
It's been going good, man. We're just chugging along, making records and trying to play shows as much as we can, trying to stay busy.
Nice. What are you working on right now? Are you recording, writing? Where are you kind of at in that process?
I mean, a little bit of all of it. We just released a 3-song EP a few months back, right around the start of summer. Mm-hmm. We've been pushing that pretty hard, and I've been back in the studio again lately, writing new tunes, and we've changed our lineup a little bit, and a little less rock and roll, a little more bluegrassy. So
Fair. You're trying to kind of break into that bluegrass market a little bit more, or is it just kind of whatever you're feeling?
I'm just leaning into a thing that I already feel like is kind of part of my sound,
That's cool. It's really cool to kind of see bluegrass kind of get a lot of this mainstream attention right now. So it's definitely, especially like I feel like a lot of musicians are intentionally or unintentionally inspired by a lot of bluegrass musicians, and it's cool to kind of see a lot of musicians want to pay homage to some of the all-time greats,
Absolutely. Well, it's part of the roots of, I mean, really all Western music. You know, you have blues, which came from old hymns and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, on one end. And then the other end, you have bluegrass and Appalachian music, which
Yeah.
came out of those old, like, Celtic folk songs.
Yeah.
You know, it's all part of the roots of rock and roll and a modern country music. And, you know,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's all in there, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So you're up in Dallas, correct, or Fort Worth?
Denton.
Denton.
Yes, sir. Same
was-
thing, same difference.
Same area. You know, it's like growing up in Chicago. It's like I'm not actually from Chicago, but I just say Chicago because if I tell you where I'm actually from, it'd be like, huh?
Absolutely.
Oh, so how's everything been going up there? Staying.
It's been going good, man. And, you know, I think we talked a little bit about it last year, just about how cool that scene is. And I just feel like it keeps getting better and better, man. Especially the Denton scene.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many great musicians and so many great, cool, unique sounds that you'll never hear anywhere else,
Yeah.
you know. I love it. I love getting to just be around all that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it so it's a growing scene, or do you think it's a pretty established as it sits right now?
I mean, it's certainly established, but, you know, DFW being as big as it is,
Yeah.
there's always constantly
Yeah.
people stepping in and people stepping out. For
Yeah.
better or worse, I definitely think it has its downsides. There's a lot of there's a lot of DFW that's very corporate.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, it's very Nashville-esque in a lot of ways. But on the bright side of that, even though they don't get the kind of attention they deserve
Yeah.
at all, there are a lot of really, really good bands,
Yeah.
you know, that are trying to make their way in the scene.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So would you say there's not like a specific Denton scene? It's more Dallas, Fort Worth, that area, or
No, there's certainly a Denton scene. There's
Okay.
a lot of jazz in Denton.
Okay.
A lot of jazz and a lot of fusion. And, you know, UNT is right in Denton.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of jazz students. And
Nice.
a lot of the players I play with are jazz students and jazz players.
nice?
So
That's cool. How's it feel to kind of get to play with these really young musicians that are playing something slightly different than what you're doing, but also chasing the same dream as you? Is it?
I mean, I think it just benefits the sound,
Yeah.
you know. And all my heroes in the country side of things were all jazz players by heart,
Yeah.
too. You know, you think about Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys or Hank Garland. He was a fantastic guitar player and played on all the big country records, but he was a jazz player. His records were straight jazz music,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like it's the same thing, you know. That's all intertwined,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
We just give them names, but it's really all the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember last year we talked about you're working on you have a record label or a distribution
I help run a booking agency.
there it is. Okay. How's that been going?
It's been going good, man. We have a great roster. We got artists like Dustin Perkins and Tim Lightyear and the Buffalo Ruckus and
Yeah.
Isaac Sloan. A lot of artists that are really, really cutting their teeth and getting stuff done on the scene.
Nice.
And it's an honor to get to just be a part of that whole thing.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. So you're booking artists out for like shows and stuff like that, or?
Yes, sir. And it's really become a family. You know, it's really my mom's project. You know,
Okay.
she's played music my entire life. She was playing music, and she's always had a passion for seeing artists
Yeah.
that deserve to be successful find that success. So she's really put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I'm really, really proud of her.
Nice. That's really cool. I'm kind of surprised not to see your mom here tonight.
She's out there somewhere.
She's out here somewhere.
They're buying a cheeseburger or something.
Okay, fair enough. So with all that kind of going on, how often are you playing shows right now? Are you playing pretty consistently, or?
I'm playing a good bit.
Yeah.
I play every weekend, then I usually have a weekday or two show.
Okay.
And then I'm an audio engineer, so
Yeah.
I'm constantly in the studio too, which I'm very grateful for.
Nice.
I think last time we talked, because I engineer for Tim Lightyear.
Yeah.
He had just sold his old place and started building his new studio,
Yeah.
and we just finally got it opened up. So
nice.
I'm really excited. We've already gotten some great projects in there, and
Nice.
it's a lot of fun, man. It's what I feel like I'm made to do. You know.
Nice. And so do you see a world where you're trying to balance your music plus your audio production side of things, or do you see yourself eventually kind of trying to lean one way or the other?
No, I absolutely want to keep doing both.
Okay.
You know, I feel like I love making music and I love playing and writing my stuff down and getting it out and, you know, pouring my soul out to people in that way. And then I love helping people that want to do the same thing and don't quite know how to get there yet,
Yeah.
you know? So it's the same reason that I love that my family owns this booking agency,
Yeah.
you know, is that we get to help artists that just want to pour their heart out, you know, and their soul out, and we get to help them find the platforms to do that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. That's really cool. How's as far as like the booking agency, does your mom also do your booking, or do you go through somewhere? Or yeah, I guess that's the best way to ask that.
I'm an artist on her roster.
Okay, cool.
Because she's been doing my booking. I mean, we do it, we tackle it together,
Yeah.
but we've been doing it together since I first started.
Nice.
And she booked all the bands that she was in before that, and
Yeah.
she's helped her friends get shows, and
Nice.
like I said, it really comes from a place of passion
Yeah,
and of wanting to help the scene,
Yeah.
and wanting to cultivate a really good, true music
yeah,
scene.
yeah, absolutely. So you're getting ready to play here in a little bit at In a Jam. Yeah, you just literally walked in about 10 minutes ago or so. What are you looking forward to? What's that?
I said, I literally just walked in there.
Yeah, you did, sir. No, you're good. So how are you looking forward to your set? What do you think of the crowd out there? They're starting to tumble in a little bit.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's well, I'll tell you what, Sean Ryan's up there
Yeah.
playing, and it's a crowd of people that are all wanting to be here to listen to music.
Yeah.
So in Dallas proper, I don't get a lot of big crowds.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get a lot of big crowds. We don't get a lot of good crowds.
Yeah.
But when we go out of Dallas, I find a lot of that where it might be a smaller town, a smaller area, and it might be a few people, but I'd much rather play to 5, 6, 10 people that are really wanting to be there and really listen to the music and really enjoy it
Yeah.
than play at some of the places I play in Dallas where the room might be full, but they don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care.
You're
They just want
basically
background
just
music.
Background music, and you're playing the standards.
Yes, sir.
For the
I'm
most
not a
part.
fan of that.
No. And I mean that's how a lot of musicians right now are cutting their teeth and just kind of doing it, especially if you go down to Austin or Nashville. You're playing consistently, yeah, but you're playing 4 to 6 hour gigs just doing standards, and it's like that's a lot of something. So,
Yeah, and I was just talking to some buddies the other day about how the pay scale hasn't changed from
Yeah.
the 70s,
Yeah.
when some of these scenes first got really established to now. Like, it's the same amount, but now it's much less,
Yeah.
So we're cutting our teeth for, my grandma, when she was playing music back in the 70s, she was getting paid, a couple $100 a show. They might walk off with $60, but that was like $200 a person back
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
Now, if we all walk off with $60, we don't have enough to buy groceries,
Yeah.
It's a very, very competitive, very corporate. Just a lot of it's become very corporate,
Yeah.
especially in Dallas and DFW. I feel like even Austin, to an extent, has started kind of. I hope that tide turns. I hope everything I hope the pendulum swings back. And things become more like it was when Willie and Waylon were doing it.
Yeah.
And it was artist first, and audience first, and not, and venue first,
Yeah.
and not company first.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely. It'd be really interesting to see how the music scene, just in general, like like just music in general, as we start to see a lot of the kids and grandkids of some of these legends starting to come up. Like you brought up Waylon Jennings. I know Waylon Jennings is his grandson, I want to say. He's starting to come up into the scene and make a little bit of noise. And then I think there's a couple of more that are doing the exact same thing. So it'll be really cool to see if they pay more of an homage to their upbringing, or if they become more corporatized. Like, oh, hey, we got name value, so we're going to just exploit it for everything we can,
I do think that what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
I do think that everything will go back the other way at some
Yeah.
point. I feel like that's true with everything,
Yeah.
honestly.
And I mean, I think you're seeing a lot of venues that are trying to be generous with the pay scale where they can. Because, I've talked to a few venues that like, I think where the issue is when you bring in like a band, that pay scale doesn't change. But if you bring in a solo act, I've heard a few venues say, oh, we'll pay you $200, $300, $400 for a 2-3 hour set or whatever. And it's like, to me, that's good money. Like, I mean, if you're a solo acoustic act and you just got to play 4 hours and you're going to make $200-$300, that feels like a pretty good ROI,
Absolutely, and no misunderstand. I'm definitely not blaming venues.
No.
There's a lot of really, really good venues. I see it like there's a sickness in the music scene.
Yeah.
This corporate thing, this tribute band heavy thing. It affects audience members. It affects bands. It affects venues. It doesn't affect all of them though.
Yeah.
There's plenty of. I know some really, really good venue owners that I absolutely adore that are doing great things with their venues. We were just at this place, Bankersmith, the other night.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic venue. I wish there was more venues like that one. You know, we were at Lukenbach last night or
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
And Lukenbach's a great venue, you
Yeah.
know. And there's plenty of great bands, and there's plenty of great booking agents, and there's so many great people. It's just there's a sickness, and a lot of them are getting infected with this thing, you know. And it's I don't know what's driving it or where it's coming from, but
Well, it's this. There's some kind of a narrative going around right now. I'll kind of tell you this fun little story. I had a band or a member of a band reach out to me. I won't name his name. I couldn't even if I wanted to, because I don't quite remember. But I had a member of a band reach out to me and said, "Hey, like what you're doing with the podcast, I have a band I'd like to come on." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Do you have a link to Spotify, something I can check out? Check out your original music." "Oh, we're a cover band." I'm like, "Oh, okay. We really focus on original music. Like, we want to push original music." He's like, "Why would you want to do that? All the good songs have been written already." And I'm like, that made me vomit. Like, I've never like actually vomited from something someone said, and it was just like, that is such a narrow-minded, unoriginal thing to say, and it
absolutely.
pissed me off to no end. So,
The thing that really drives me up the wall are the tribute bands,
Yeah.
you know. And I have great friends that are in tribute bands, and
Yeah.
they also have original projects. You know, I don't mean to dog on anybody's art. I just feel like there's been, especially in DFW where I'm at, there's such a shift where a lot of these big venues, some of the theaters
Yeah.
even, that used to focus heavily on
Yeah.
big touring original acts, now instead of showing, you know, Maureen Wall or whoever they have coming in,
yeah,
the billboard will say, you know, ABCD, a tribute to ACDC,
Yeah.
or, you know, Lead Balloon, a tribute to Led Zeppelin, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like,
The-
that's
the-
not, in my opinion, it's not your art, you know.
Yeah.
You're taking somebody else's song, somebody else's look, somebody else's show,
yeah,
and not only are you playing a part, but the audience is playing a part because they have to suspend their disbelief as to what
Yeah.
they're seeing to pretend that they're at a
And-
Led Zeppelin show,
yeah.
you know,
It
when they're
almost
not.
seems like bands and musicians need to. There's got to be a way around it where you like make it so they have to pay you like royalties every time you do, you know, like a franchising type operation. I watched a band do that where they franchised themselves out. They're like, it was the lead singer, and he would charge them an arm and a leg, and then he would just go to every little podunk town and be like, "Okay, for $5,000, you're getting this big name band." And then he would just bring in random musicians and throw them like $50, and like, "Okay, here's the standard, what we're gonna play. There you go." And it's like, but to go back to the idea of like tribute bands, I feel like I'm right there with you, because what's killing me right now is you're getting these tribute bands that are doing tributes to bands that are still actively playing out.
Absolutely.
Like if it was one of those things where it's like they want to do like a Temptations type thing, you know, like a band that isn't actively playing or something like that, cool. I see that, because you can't see them play anywhere else. But when you're doing an AC/DC cover band, now yes, they're not playing like they used to, or you're doing like a Metallica cover, you know, just
I mean, I've even seen Chris Stapleton tribute bands, like
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton, who's still writing new music,
yes,
you know,
yeah, and it's
who
just
might
kinda-
have another new hit song nobody's heard next week, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, and so it's just kind of like, just stop, please. So, yeah. But yeah, so if anybody wants to check out your music, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
I'm on Spotify, iTunes. I say all the time on my show. It's at Ryan Glenn Official, or RyanGlennMusic.com, and I always say you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, OnlyFans, Tinder, and other choice sites. Wherever you want to find me, I'm probably there.
That's cool. That's sick. So just to kind of wrap it up, you just released a new EP beginning of the summer, and then you said you're in the process of working on more stuff.
Yes, sir. We hope to have our next single out by the first of the year.
Awesome. Well, we'll be on the lookout for that, and anybody listening, we'll make sure we throw Ryan's Spotify and all that fun stuff in the description. So appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Huh?
Yeah, man, I really don't mean a dog on anyone.
No, I get-
I know, and I have friends that are in that scene, man. They're great